In this video, we're going to cover cliffhangers and keeping your readers engaged in your emails, and also how to create the best type of emails so that they come back and read your next emails that you have lined up for them. So the first thing is I'm just going to explain what a cliffhanger is, okay, in case you haven't came across the term before. Basically, if you've ever watched any TV shows or any TV sitcoms, anything like that, then a lot of the time what they do towards the end of the episode is they leave you on a cliffhanger. Okay, something really big happens, okay, something really interesting happens, and it makes you want to tune in for the next episode. Okay, this is a technique that they use in a lot of programs and a lot of films as well. Okay, right at the end, films, it doesn't happen quite so much because the film is generally the full story. But if they're going to be launching a sequel to that film, then they may leave you on a cliffhanger at the end. So what happens is this builds up anticipation and some excitement, so then it makes you want to tune in more for the next episode. Okay, and this works exactly the same in email marketing. What you do is you create a kind of a story, but you don't give people the full explanation, or you don't give people the full story until the next email. Okay, and that's what a cliffhanger basically is. Okay, it leaves you on the edge of your seat. Something really interesting is about to happen, or something that is really going to be quite significant, and then you can't find out what that is until the next episode. And this is exactly how it's going to work in your email campaigns. So that's definitely something to kind of like think about, and this is what this video is all about. This is trying to keep your readers engaged so that they continue to open your next emails. And that being said, I'm now going to go into the 3 tips that I've got for you. But just before we get to the 3 tips, you'll see in front of you is one of my emails. This is one of my emails that I've got set up in my sequence in my autoresponder account, and at the bottom there you can see that I go into detail about tomorrow's email. I will explain the 4 things that they must have if they're serious about building any type of email list. And this email, the way I've structured the end of this email is to get people to tune in to my next one. Okay, so one of the main things you have to think about when you create your emails is you need to make sure that you tell people that they have to, not they have to, but you kind of have to try to get people to want to open your next email. And the way you do that is by creating emails similar to this. Okay, this is just an example email that you can take some tips and ideas from. This is an actual email that I've got in my sequence. So I go into some detail about list building, and then at the end I explain about the 4 things that they must have if they're serious about building any type of email list. So anyone that's interested in list building, okay, they're going to feel compelled to actually tune in to the next message, to my next follow-up message. And underneath that, just to make it even more powerful and more effective, I've included, without just one of these 4 things, it will be impossible to build your email list and any business online. And it will be, okay, obviously you can't, don't lie, don't completely exaggerate, because if somebody then reads your next email and you don't talk about, or you don't reveal the information that you said you was going to in this email, then they aren't going to tune in to many of your future emails, because you're going to lose all of your credibility and all of your trust. So make sure that whatever you tell them in an email, okay, you definitely reveal in the next one. So that being said, let's go into these 3 tips. The first tip is don't complete a story. So if you give people a story within your email, or you explain a particular technique or a particular method, okay, give them 90% of it, but always leave a little bit of the story out if you need people to obviously open the next email. If this is going to be a promotional email, it's completely different. unless you're doing a promotion which goes out over 2 to 3 days, which is going to be like a build-up promotion. But if it's just a follow-up email, then your priority is to get them to open your next email. And if you are using a follow-up email and you use a story within your email, then don't complete the story, leave a little bit of it out so that you can continue the story into the next email. Okay, because people love to read stories, and this is one of the powerful ways to create your emails, is to include stories within your emails. And if you don't complete the entire story, leave some of the end of it out, and then just tell people that you will go into detail, or you will explain the end of the story into the next email. But obviously be a little bit creative. This can work in any niche, but whatever information you give them, it doesn't have to be a story, it can just be information, just like I've got here. But a story, any information, any like particular methods, technique, anything that you give them, any education that you give your subscriber, then don't give them the full information. Give them a reason to open your next email. Okay, and this is going to give you much higher open rates. So that's the first tip. Don't complete a story within your email, because your priority, as I said, should always be to get your subscriber, your prospect, or whoever is on your list, to get them to open your next email. Tip number 2 is tell them what they can expect in your next email, so they have a reason to open it. Because as I've said, look, tomorrow's email I will explain the 4 things which you must have if you're serious about building any type of email list. So whatever you do something similar to this. You can give people the information. This is, of course, if you give people actual information within the content, within the email, then at the end of the email you can give them something like this, and then say, make sure that you tune in to tomorrow's email, or tomorrow I'm going to explain XYZ. And in my case, I've said about the 4 things that they must have if they're serious about building any type of email list. So whatever you give them, make sure that you tell them what they're going to get in the next email, or what they're going to actually learn. Obviously, don't be too specific. Don't give them everything that they're going to learn, like every last detail. Okay, just give them a teaser. And again, this is how you can create a bit of a cliffhanger, and they will feel compelled to open your next email. So that was tip number 2. Tell them what to expect next, or what they're going to learn in the next email. Now, tip number 3 is you give them the missing piece of the puzzle in the next email. So again, this kind of relates to everything that I've explained so far. What you do is you give them a technique, a method, or a story, and then in the next email you tell them in the previous email that you're going to give them the rest of the story, or the rest of the information. So for instance, if you were to give somebody a complete method on how to do something, or a specific technique, if you educate them around a particular topic or subject, and then you leave a little part of the technique out, okay, which can often be the most important part, you can then leave that until the next email. Okay, you still give them plenty of good information, but then you just leave one of the most important parts of the technique out until the next email. So then what happens is you still give them the content, okay, you still give them good juicy content, but the way you do it is with your marketing, is you create your emails in such a way that you make sure that people tune in to your next emails. Okay, and this is marketing, this is email marketing. Okay, it's really powerful stuff, and it does work. And as I said, it gives people a reason to open your next email. So those are the 3 tips, and I've also explained about the cliffhanger technique. So tip 1 was don't complete a story, leave a little bit of it out. Tip 2, tell them what to expect in the next email, but don't be too specific and give the entire game away. And tip 3 was you can give them the missing piece of the puzzle in the next email. So if you use all of these tips within your email campaigns, okay, you will see good results, and your email campaigns will be a lot more effective.